In one of Abuja's most guarded estates, silence wasn't peace, it was fear. The kind of fear that makes grown men lower their eyes when footsteps approach. The kind that turns laughter into whispers and whispers into held breath. Behind the 12-foot walls of the Karim mansion in Asokoro, the domestic staff had learned a simple rule: when she enters a room, you disappear. But what happens when someone refuses to vanish? This is that story. And it begins on a Tuesday morning, when the devil wore Hermes. Welcome to StoryPulse TV and another video of the channel of love, kindness, courage and reward. Beautiful people, kindly subscribe and like this channel and we'll bring you more videos like this. At exactly 6:47 a.m., Maman Ngozi's hands trembled as she arranged breakfast on the silver tray. Fresh roses on the left, not the right. Toast golden, not brown. Everything perfect, because anything less meant tears before lunch. Careful with that tray, Blessing, she whispered to the 19-year-old beside her. She complained yesterday that you walked too heavily. Blessing nodded, her hands shaking. They both froze when light footsteps echoed above. Vanessa Adeyemi descended the stairs like a magazine cover come to life. 28, flawless dark skin, designer silk robe worth more than Blessing's yearly salary. Diamond studs catching morning light. She looked perfect. That was the first lie. Good morning, Ma, Maman Ngozi said softly, eyes down. Vanessa sat at the head of the long dining table without responding. She surveyed the breakfast spread like a judge examining evidence. The silence stretched. Blessing stood in the corner, barely breathing. The eggs are cold, Vanessa finally said, her voice silk over steel. I'm sorry, Ma. Do you know what cold eggs taste like, Blessing? Vanessa picked up the plate, holding it out. Not throwing it. Not yet. Just holding it in a way that made the threat clear. They taste like disrespect. Like you think I'm not worth hot food. Ma, I'm sorry, Ma. Take it away. All of it. Vanessa's whisper carried more menace than a shout. And the next time you serve me cold food, you'll be looking for another job. Do you understand me? Yes, Ma. Blessing grabbed the tray with shaking hands and fled to the kitchen, eyes already wet. When she was gone, Vanessa picked up her phone and smiled, beautiful, terrible, scrolling through Instagram as if nothing had happened. As if she hadn't just crushed someone's spirit before 7 a.m. In the kitchen, Blessing leaned against the counter, fighting tears. Don't cry, Maman Ngozi said quietly, already preparing new eggs. She feeds on tears. The eggs were hot, Blessing whispered. I checked them myself. It doesn't matter. She needs someone to hurt every morning. From the doorway, Mr. Ibrahim, the grey-haired estate manager, added quietly, some people are just evil. Mr. Ibrahim, Maman Ngozi warned. It's true. I've worked here 12 years. I've never seen cruelty dressed up as class until she arrived. His voice turned bitter. Last month she made Chidi stand in the sun for 2 hours because he forgot to polish one of her shoes. 2 hours. For a shoe. Blessing wiped her eyes. And Oga? Doesn't he know? The question hung like smoke. Mr. Ibrahim and Maman Ngozi exchanged a look, the kind that passes between people who share a painful secret. Oga Olumide is a good man, Mr. Ibrahim finally said. But he's blind when it comes to her. At that moment, 3 floors above, Olumide Karim reviewed contracts that would affect thousands of jobs across 3 states. At 42, he'd built an empire: telecommunications, real estate, logistics. Governors called him for advice. Presidents invited him to dinners. He was powerful, respected, untouchable. And completely unaware his home had become a prison for those who served him. He descended for coffee and heard laughter, Vanessa's laughter, bright and musical. She was on the phone near the living room windows. Aunt Kimi, you're terrible. You must come to the engagement party. Yes, I'm working on Olumide. Okay, love you. She turned, saw him, and her entire face transformed, softened, warmed, became everything a man could want. Baby, I didn't know you were coming down. She crossed to him, kissed his cheek. Let me get your coffee. You work so hard. She called toward the kitchen, voice sweet. Maman Ngozi, Oga's coffee, please. The usual. Yes, Ma, came the quick response. Vanessa turned back, her hand on his chest. Only 4 months until the wedding. I know. He smiled, covered her hand with his. I'm excited too. They stood there, a perfect portrait. The self-made billionaire and his beautiful, devoted fiancée. If you didn't know what happened before breakfast, if you didn't hear the tremor in Maman Ngozi's voice, you might actually believe in the perfection. That evening, Olumide returned home exhausted. Vanessa met him at the door in a flowing maxi dress. Baby, you look tired. I had Maman Ngozi prepare your favorite pepper soup with catfish. You're an angel. He kissed her forehead. As Olumide headed upstairs, Vanessa walked toward the kitchen, heels clicking. The moment she entered, the temperature dropped. "Is it ready?" she asked, warmth stripped from her voice. "Yes, Ma." Vanessa lifted the pot lid, inhaled. For a moment, no one breathed. Then she nodded. Acceptable. As she turned to leave, she paused by Blessing. "Smile when you serve dinner tonight. Ogre likes happy staff. Can you do that?" Blessing's throat worked. "Yes, Ma. Good girl." Dinner was perfect. Candles flickered. The pepper soup arrived at precisely the right temperature. Blessing smiled as she served it, just as she'd been told. "You know what I was thinking?" Vanessa said, touching Olumide's hand. "We should give the staff bonuses at Christmas. They work so hard." Olumide looked surprised and pleased. "That's very thoughtful. Well, they take care of us. Plus, when we're married, I want this to be a happy home for everyone. This is why I'm marrying you. You have such a good heart." In the corner, Blessing stood frozen, the smile plastered on her face like a mask she couldn't remove. A good heart. A good heart. Something inside her that had been bending for 3 months finally cracked. Later that night, Vanessa stood in her closet, scrolling through her phone. Her Instagram post had gotten 23,000 likes. The comments were a chorus: couple goals, may God bless your union, beauty and grace. She smiled, reading each one. Because this digital perfection was what mattered. Not what happened in kitchens. Not tears of people who didn't matter. She was about to become Mrs. Olumide Karim. She was about to secure a fortune. And no one was going to stop her. But 200 kilometers away in Kaduna, a young woman named Zainab Musa packed her bag for Abuja. Her mother, weak from illness, held her hand. "Be strong. Remember what your father taught you, never bow to evil, even when it wears a crown." "I remember, Mama. And if you see injustice." Zainab met her mother's eyes. "I speak, even if my voice shakes." Her mother smiled. "That's my daughter." Zainab didn't know about Vanessa Adeyemi yet. She didn't know about the cold eggs, the forced smiles, the silent tears. She didn't know she was walking into a house of whispers. But she would learn. And when she did, everything would change. In the world of the powerful, silence is survival. But what happens when someone refuses to be silent? What happens when courage walks through gates built to keep it out? In the house of whispers, the loudest voice is about to arrive. And she doesn't whisper. The luxury bus from Kaduna pulled into Abuja's Utako terminal at 6:32 a.m. on Monday morning. Zainab Musa stepped off with a small duffel bag and a heart full of determination. She was 26, slim, with intelligent eyes that missed nothing. Her dress was simple but neat. Her shoes were old but polished. She carried herself with the quiet dignity of someone who had nothing to prove and everything to protect. The agency had sent her the address, Plot 47, Diplomatic Drive, Asokoro. She showed it to a taxi driver who whistled low. "You working there?" "Yes." "Big house." "Big house." "You are lucky." Zainab didn't respond. Luck had nothing to do with it. Desperation had everything to do with it. Her mother's medical bills. Her brother's school fees. Her sister's university admission. These were the reasons she was here, not luck. The taxi wound through Abuja's morning traffic, past government buildings and embassies, until they reached streets where the houses disappeared behind walls. When they stopped at the Karim estate gates, the driver's eyes widened. "Ah, this one? Sister, you've entered the big leagues." She paid him and approached the gate. A security guard, muscular, professional, bored, looked her up and down. "Yes. I'm the new staff member. Zainab Musa." He made a call, nodded, and the gate rolled open with an electric hum. As she walked up the curved driveway, Zainab took it all in. The fountains. The manicured lawns. The cars parked in the garage, a Range Rover, a Mercedes, a Lexus. Each one cost more than her family would see in 10 years. The main door opened before she reached it. A woman in her 50s, wearing a house uniform, stood waiting. Her face was kind but her eyes were tired. "Zainab." "Yes, Ma. I'm Mrs. Aduke, the senior housekeeper. Welcome." She stepped aside. "Come, let me show you around." Inside was overwhelming. Crystal chandeliers. Marble floors that reflected like mirrors. Art on the walls that looked museum quality. Everything gleamed. "This way." Mrs. Aduke led her through a side corridor toward the back of the house. "The staff quarters are separate. You'll share facilities with the other workers, Maman Ngozi, our cook, Blessing and Chidi, the house staff, Samuel the gardener, and Joseph the driver." They emerged into a courtyard where 6 simple rooms faced each other. Clean, functional, Nothing like the main house but comfortable enough. That one is yours. Mrs. Aduke pointed to the last door. You can settle in, then come to the kitchen in 30 minutes. I need to explain your duties. Thank you, Ma. Mrs. Aduke turned to leave, then stopped. Her voice dropped. Zainab, there's something you should know about this house. Ma. The older woman's eyes scanned the courtyard as if checking for listeners. Things are different here. There are rules. Spoken and unspoken. I understand. I've worked in homes before. Not like this one. Mrs. Aduke stepped closer. Ogre Olumide is a good man. Fair, kind, generous. But his fiancée. She paused, choosing words carefully. Miss Vanessa can be demanding. Very demanding. I can handle demanding, Ma. It's not just demanding. Mrs. Aduke's voice became urgent. Listen to me carefully. When Miss Vanessa speaks to you, keep your eyes down. When she enters a room, stop what you're doing and acknowledge her. Never, ever contradict her. Never laugh too loudly. Never speak unless spoken to. And if she accuses you of something, even if it's not true, apologize immediately. Zainab felt something cold settle in her stomach. Ma, what exactly? Just do as I say. For your own sake. Mrs. Aduke glanced at her watch. 30 minutes. Kitchen. She walked away quickly, her shoulders tense. Zainab stood alone in the courtyard, her mother's words echoing, never bow to evil, even when it wears a crown. 28 minutes later, she entered the kitchen and found organized chaos. Mehman Gozi was preparing breakfast with military precision. A young girl, Blessing, was polishing silverware with hands that shook slightly. A teenage boy, Chidi, was mopping floors that already looked spotless. They all looked up when Zainab entered, and something passed across their faces. Not welcome, exactly. More like pity. You're the new one? Mehman Gozi asked. Yes, Ma. Zainab. I'm not Ma. Just Mehman Gozi. She went back to chopping vegetables. Mrs. Aduke will tell you your duties. For now, stay out of the way and watch how we do things. Yes, Mehman Gozi. Blessing approached shyly. I can show you where things are kept, if you want. Thank you. For the next hour, Zainab observed. She noticed how everyone moved quietly, efficiently, without wasted motion. She noticed how they kept glancing at the kitchen entrance. She noticed the tension that hummed beneath every action. At 8:47 a.m., everything changed. Footsteps. Light ones. Designer slippers on marble. The kitchen froze. Mehman Gozi straightened. Blessing put down the silverware with careful silence. Chidi stopped mopping mid-stroke. Vanessa Adeyemi entered wearing yoga pants and a sports bra that probably cost $1,000. Her skin glowed with post-workout sweat. She looked like a fitness influencer. She looked stunning. She looked directly at Blessing. The breakfast room, she said quietly. There's a watermark on the table. Blessing's face went pale. Ma, I cleaned it this morning. I used the. Are you arguing with me? No, Ma, I just. There. Is. A water. Mark. Vanessa's voice never rose. It didn't need to. Which means you didn't clean it properly. Which means you're getting lazy. Which means you don't value this job. Ma, please, go clean it again. And this time, do it right, or I'll find someone who can. Blessing hurried out, fighting tears. Vanessa turned to Mehman Gozi. I want egg white omelette for lunch. No oil. Steamed vegetables on the side. If there's even one drop of oil, we'll have a problem. Yes, Ma. Vanessa's eyes swept the kitchen and landed on Zainab. Who's this? Mrs. Aduke, who had appeared silently, answered. The new staff member, Ma. Zainab Musa. She started today. Vanessa studied Zainab for a long moment. You're taller than the last one. Can you reach the high shelves without a stool? Yes, Ma. Good. We got tired of watching Esther struggle. She smiled, beautiful, cold. Welcome to the Kareem household. I hope you last longer than the others. She walked out, leaving behind a wake of fear. No one spoke for 30 seconds. Finally, Chidi whispered, she's in a good mood today. Good mood? Zainab asked before she could stop herself. Mehman Gozi gave her a sharp look. That was good. Trust me. An hour later, Zainab was folding laundry in the utility room when she heard shouting. Not loud shouting, the controlled kind that's somehow worse. She followed the sound to the breakfast room and stopped in the doorway, unseen. Vanessa stood over Blessing, who was on her knees scrubbing the already spotless table. Tears streamed down the girl's face. Do you see this? Vanessa held up her phone, showing a photo. This mark right here? That's the one you missed. That's your incompetence documented. Ma, please. I should send this to Ogre. Show him how his staff treats his home. Ma, no, please, I need this job, my brother's school fees. Then maybe you should have done your job properly the first time. Vanessa's voice dripped with contempt. Or maybe you're just not smart enough for this work. Is that it? Are you stupid, Blessing? Something in Zainab's chest ignited. She watched Blessing's shoulders shake. Watched her scrub a table that didn't need scrubbing. Watched her beg for mercy that wouldn't come. And Zainab remembered her mother's words, if you see injustice, speak even if your voice shakes. She stepped into the room. Excuse me, Ma. Both women turned, shocked. Vanessa's eyes narrowed. Did I call you? No, Ma. But Mrs. Aduke asked me to inform you that Ogre's driver just arrived. He said Ogre will be home early for lunch. It was a lie. Smooth, delivered with perfect respect. But it worked. Vanessa's expression shifted, annoyance replaced by calculation. Fine. She looked down at Blessing one last time. You have one more chance. Don't waste it. She walked out, heels clicking. When she was gone, Blessing collapsed, sobbing. Zainab helped her up. Thank you, Blessing whispered. Thank you. What did you really do wrong? Nothing. There was no watermark. She just needed to hurt someone today. Zainab felt her jaw tighten. This wasn't just demanding. This wasn't just difficult. This was cruelty, pure and calculated. That night, lying in her small room, Zainab stared at the ceiling. She could leave. She should leave. She'd been here less than 12 hours and already understood why people didn't last. But then she thought of Blessing's tears. Of Maman Goz's resigned acceptance. Of Mrs. Aduke's warning that sounded like defeat. She thought of her mother saying, never bow to evil. Zainab didn't know it yet, but she'd already made her choice. She wasn't going to bow. And in a house built on fear, that made her the most dangerous person in it. 3 days. That's how long Zainab lasted before everything exploded. Thursday afternoon. The mansion was quiet. Olumide was in Lagos for meetings, wouldn't return until evening. That's when Vanessa was at her worst. Without his presence, the mask came off completely. Zainab was dusting the hallway near Vanessa's bedroom when she heard the scream. Someone get up here now. Maman Gozi appeared from nowhere, moving fast despite her age. Mrs. Aduke rushed from the laundry room. Blessing and Chidi emerged from different corners like frightened rabbits. They all gathered outside Vanessa's door. She stood in the doorway, phone in hand, face twisted with rage. My diamond earrings are missing. The words landed like bombs. Ma! Mrs. Aduke's voice was careful. My diamond earrings. The ones Olumide bought me from Tiffany's in Dubai. They were in my jewelry box this morning. Now they're gone. Her eyes swept over them like searchlights. Someone stole them. Ma, no one would. Maman Gozi started. Are you calling me a liar? Vanessa's voice went dangerously soft. Are you saying I imagined putting 5 million naira worth of diamonds in my jewelry box? 5 million naira. The number hung in the air. More than any of them would earn in 5 years. Who cleaned my room today? Vanessa demanded. Blessing raised a trembling hand. I did, Ma. But I didn't touch anything, I swear. You were alone in my room? Yes, Ma, but. And now my earrings are gone. Vanessa stepped closer to Blessing. Quite a coincidence, don't you think? Ma, I didn't take anything, wallahi, I swear to God. Don't you dare swear to God while lying to me. Vanessa's hand shot out, grabbing Blessing's uniform collar. You think I'm stupid? You think I don't know how this works? Poor girl, rich house, shiny things disappearing. Blessing was crying now, shaking her head frantically. Ma, please, check my room, check my bags, I didn't take them. Oh, I will check. And when I find them, I'm not just firing you, I'm calling the police. You'll go to prison. Do you understand? Prison. Zainab watched Blessing's knees buckle. Watched Mrs. Aduke's helpless expression. Watched Maman Gozi stare at the floor. This had happened before. They all knew it. False accusations, manufactured crises, reasons to hurt and humiliate. Ma, Zainab heard herself say. Everyone turned to stare at her like she'd just pulled a gun. Vanessa's eyes narrowed. Did I ask you to speak? No, Ma. But I was also in your room today. The hallway went silent. What? Vanessa's voice was ice. I helped Blessing with the high windows. Around 10 a.m. I saw your jewelry box. It was closed, but I saw it. Zainab kept her voice level, respectful. Maybe the earrings fell behind something? Or maybe they're in another jewelry box. I noticed you have 3. Vanessa's face transformed, rage mixed with something else. Surprise. No one had ever offered explanations before. They just apologized and cowered. Are you suggesting I don't know where my own jewelry is? No, Ma. I'm just saying maybe we should check thoroughly before assuming. Before assuming what? That staff steal? Vanessa laughed, sharp and ugly. You've been here 3 days and you're already defending thieves. I'm not defending anyone. I'm just saying Blessing wouldn't. You don't know what Blessing would do. You don't know anything. Vanessa turned back to Blessing. Empty your pockets. Right now. Blessing's hands shook as she turned out her uniform pockets. Empty except for a tissue. Your room. Now. Everyone. They marched like prisoners to the staff quarters. Vanessa tore through Blessing's room, opened drawers, dumped clothes, checked under the mattress. Nothing. Of course nothing, because Blessing hadn't taken anything. But Vanessa's rage only grew with each empty drawer. You hid them, she hissed. You already sold them, or gave them to someone outside. Ma, please, I have never stolen anything in my life. Liar. The slap came without warning. Vanessa's hand swung toward Blessing's face with full force. But it never landed. Because Zainab's hand shot up and caught Vanessa's wrist mid-air. Time stopped. The world held its breath. Zainab held Vanessa's wrist firmly, not squeezing, not hurting, just stopping. Their eyes met. Vanessa's shocked, wide with disbelief. Zainab's calm, clear, unafraid. Don't, Zainab said quietly. The word was soft. The meaning was absolute. Vanessa yanked her hand back like she'd touched fire. For 3 seconds, she just stared, her brain trying to process what had happened. No one had ever touched her. No one had ever stopped her. No one had ever said no. Then the shock transformed into pure fury. You just. Vanessa's voice shook. You just put your hands on me. You were going to hit her. She stole from me. She didn't. And even if she did, you don't get to hit her. The words fell like grenades. Mrs. Aduke gasped. Maman Ngozi grabbed the doorframe for support. Chidi's mouth hung open. Vanessa's face went through 5 emotions in 2 seconds: shock, rage, humiliation, calculation. When she spoke, her voice was venomous. You're fired. Pack your things and get out of this house in the next 10 minutes, or I'll have security throw you out. Okay, Zainab said simply. This confused Vanessa further. No begging. No tears. You understand what this means? Vanessa pressed. No reference. No final payment. Nothing. You'll never work in Abuja again, I'll make sure of it. I understand. Zainab's voice remained steady. But I'm not leaving until Oga Olumide returns and I can explain what happened. You don't give orders here. I'm not giving orders. I'm stating my rights. The agency contract says I can't be dismissed without the employer's direct authorization. Oga Olumide is the employer. You're his fiancée. Vanessa's face went purple. No one had ever quoted contract terms to her. No one had ever reminded her she wasn't actually the lady of the house yet. Fine, she said, voice like poison. Stay until Oga comes back. But when he hears you assaulted me, when he hears you defended a thief, when he hears you disrespected me in my own home, she leaned close, her breath hot on Zainab's face. You won't just lose this job. I'll destroy you. Your family. Everything. She stormed out, heels clicking like gunshots. The moment she disappeared, Blessing collapsed into Zainab's arms, sobbing. Why did you do that? She's going to ruin you. Maybe. Zainab stroked her hair. But I couldn't watch her hit you. Mrs. Aduke sank onto the bed, looking 20 years older. Child, you don't understand what you've just done. Miss Vanessa doesn't forget. She doesn't forgive. I know. Then why? Zainab thought of her mother. Of her father's grave. Of the promise she'd made to live with integrity even when it cost everything. Because someone had to. Maman Ngozi shook her head slowly. Oga will be back by 6. 3 hours from now. You better pray he's in a listening mood, because that woman is going to paint you as the devil herself. Let her. Zainab met their eyes, each in turn. But I'm going to tell the truth. All of it. And if he's the good man you say he is, he'll listen. And if he doesn't? Chidi asked, his young voice cracking. Zainab smiled sadly. Then I'll pack my bags and go home. But at least I'll go home with my dignity. Outside, in the main house, Vanessa was already on her phone. Her hands shook with rage as she dialed. Mama. Her voice was different now, young, fragile, victimized. Something terrible happened. The new maid attacked me. Yes, actually attacked me. Olumide is going to be so angry when he finds out. No, I'm okay, just shaken. Can you come? I need you here when he gets back. Thank you, Mama. She ended the call and smiled at her reflection in the hallway mirror. By the time Olumide walked through that door, she'd have an army. By the time he heard the story, Zainab Musa would be the villain and Vanessa would be the victim. She'd played this game before. She always won. But she'd never played against someone who had nothing to lose. And that, Vanessa was about to learn, was the most dangerous opponent of all. The clock ticked toward 6. The mansion held its breath. And somewhere in her room, Zainab Musa sat calmly, her phone in her hands, recording a video just in case. Because if she was going down, she was taking the truth with her. Olumide Karim's Mercedes pulled through the estate gates at 6:17 p.m. He was exhausted. The Lagos meeting had been brutal, 3 hours of negotiating with government officials who wanted twice the budget for half the work. His shoulders ached. His head throbbed. He wanted a hot shower, cold drink, and silence. What he got was chaos. Joseph, his driver, parked and immediately tensed. Oga, something is not right. What do you mean? Look. Joseph pointed at the front door where 3 security guards stood instead of the usual one. And Madam's mother's car is here. Mrs. Adeyemi's white Lexus sat in the driveway like a bad omen. Olumide's stomach tightened. Vanessa's mother only came for 2 reasons, weddings or warfare. He entered the house to find Vanessa on the sofa, her mother beside her, holding her hand. Vanessa's eyes were red-rimmed. A tissue clutched in her palm. She looked devastated, fragile, broken. Olumide. She stood, rushed to him. Thank God you're back. What happened? Are you hurt? Emotionally, yes. Her voice cracked perfectly. I was attacked today. In our own home. By one of the staff. The word attacked hung in the air like smoke. Mrs. Adeyemi stood, her face tight with maternal fury. Olumide, this is unacceptable. My daughter was assaulted by someone you hired. Wait. Olumide raised his hands. Someone attacked you? Who? Where are they? The new girl. Zainab something. Vanessa's fingers dug into his arm. She grabbed me, Olumide. Physically grabbed my wrist. Hurt me. Why would she? Because I confronted her about stealing. Vanessa's voice rose. My diamond earrings, the ones you bought me in Dubai, they disappeared. I questioned the staff, and she became aggressive. Defended the thief. Then when I tried to maintain order in my own home, she attacked me. Mrs. Adeyemi added, we should call the police. Press charges. This kind of behavior. Where is she now? Olumide interrupted. In the staff quarters, claiming she has rights, claiming she won't leave until you hear her side. Vanessa's eyes filled with fresh tears. Can you believe the audacity? She assaults me and then refuses to leave. Something about the story felt off. Olumide had hired hundreds of people in his career, dealt with theft, discipline issues, conflicts. But physical assault? From someone with good references? Without witnesses? I want to hear what she has to say. Vanessa's face flickered just for a microsecond before the tears flowed harder. You're going to take her side? After what she did to me? I'm not taking anyone's side. I'm trying to understand what happened. He kept his voice gentle but firm. Where's Mrs. Aduke? In the kitchen with the others. Tell her I want everyone in the living room. Now. Including Zainab. Olumide, Mrs. Adeyemi started. With respect, Ma, this is my house. I need to hear all sides. 5 minutes later, they assembled like actors in a courtroom drama. Vanessa and her mother on one side. The staff lined up like prisoners, Mrs. Aduke, Maman Gozi, Blessing, Chidi. And Zainab, standing slightly apart, calm as still water. Olumide studied her. Mid-20s, intelligent eyes, no tears, no trembling. Either remarkably composed or remarkably guilty. Zainab Musa? Yes, sir. Tell me what happened today. Everything. Zainab's voice was clear, steady. This afternoon, Miss Vanessa discovered her diamond earrings were missing. She called all the staff together and accused Blessing of stealing them because Blessing cleaned her room today. I mentioned that I also cleaned her room, helping with the windows, and suggested the earrings might have fallen somewhere or been in a different jewelry box. She defended the thief. Vanessa interrupted. Immediately took her side. I'm listening to Zainab right now, Olumide said quietly. Continue. Miss Vanessa insisted Blessing had stolen them. She searched Blessing's room. Found nothing. Then she became very angry and attempted to slap Blessing across the face. I stopped her. I caught her wrist. I said don't. That's what happened. The room went silent. Olumide looked at his fiancée. You were going to hit Blessing? She stole from me. Vanessa's voice cracked. 5 million naira worth of diamond. I was upset, acting on instinct to discipline. By hitting her. I wasn't actually, Vanessa faltered, then recovered. The point is, this woman had no right to put her hands on me. No right to interfere with how I manage the household. How you manage? Olymide's voice went quiet, the dangerous quiet that people who knew him recognized as worse than shouting. This isn't your household. Not yet. Mrs. Adeyemi gasped. Olymide. But he wasn't finished. He turned to Mrs. Aduke. In your professional opinion, would Blessing steal? Mrs. Aduke's voice shook. No, sir. Never. She sends almost everything she earns to her family. She's honest. And the earrings, did anyone actually search for them properly? Silence. Did anyone check if they were somewhere else in Vanessa's room? Another drawer? Another jewelry box? More silence. Olymide walked to the stairs. Everyone stay here. Olymide, you don't need to, Vanessa started. Stay. Here. He climbed to Vanessa's bedroom, fury building with each step. He went straight to her walk-in closet where 3 jewelry boxes sat on the central island. The main one empty tray where earrings should be. The second one various gold pieces. The third one, smaller, pushed slightly back. He opened it. 2 diamond studs glittered against black velvet. His hands clenched. He picked up the box and walked back downstairs in silence. The living room was frozen when he entered. He placed the jewelry box on the coffee table. Are these the missing earrings? Vanessa's face went white. Those were. I thought. You thought what? That they were stolen? Or you knew exactly where they were? I must have forgotten I put them there. It was an honest mistake. An honest mistake that almost got someone fired. That got someone accused of theft. That resulted in you trying to hit a teenager. His voice was steel now. An honest mistake? Olymide, she still assaulted me. She stopped you from committing assault. He turned to Zainab. Did you grab her aggressively? Hurt her in any way? No, sir. I caught her wrist to stop the slap. I didn't squeeze or twist. I just stopped the motion. Did you threaten her? No, sir. I said one word, don't. Olymide looked at his fiancée, really looked at her, and saw something he'd been blind to for months. The perfect mask was cracking. Behind it was something uglier than he'd imagined. How many others? He asked quietly. What? How many other staff members have you done this to? How many false accusations? How many manufactured crises? That's not fair. Mrs. Aduke. Olymide turned to the housekeeper. How many staff have quit this year? Mrs. Aduke's voice was barely a whisper. 4, sir. 4 in 8 months. And before Vanessa moved in. We hadn't lost anyone in 3 years, sir. The truth landed like a boulder. Mrs. Adeyemi stood abruptly. Olymide, my daughter may be strict, but she's preparing to run this household. By terrorizing people? By false accusations? By physical violence? She made a mistake about the earrings. She didn't make a mistake. She created a crisis. He looked at Vanessa, his voice heavy with disappointment. Why? Vanessa's tears were real now, but not from remorse, from rage at being caught. You're embarrassing me in front of the help. The help? Is that what you call them? He shook his head slowly. I think you should go home tonight. Both of you. We'll talk tomorrow when everyone is calmer. You're choosing her over me. Vanessa pointed at Zainab. I'm choosing the truth over lies. Vanessa's face transformed, the beautiful mask shattered completely. What emerged was pure venom. You'll regret this. When I tell people how you humiliated me, how you believed staff over your own fiancé. Then tell them. Olymide's voice was tired. Tell them whatever you want. Mrs. Adeyemi grabbed her purse. Come, Vanessa. Let's go. As they reached the door, Vanessa turned back. Her smile was terrible. This isn't over. Not even close. The door slammed. The house exhaled. Olymide stood in the center of his living room, suddenly aware of how much he didn't know about the woman he'd planned to marry. He looked at the staff, all still frozen. I'm sorry. All of you. I should have seen this sooner. Sir, Mrs. Aduke started. How bad was it? Tell me honestly. And slowly, painfully, they did. The cold eggs. The son punishment. The constant accusations. The manufactured drama. The fear that permeated every corner. When they finished, Olymide felt sick. He turned to Zainab last. You've been here 3 days and you're the only one who stood up to her. Someone had to, sir. Why didn't the rest of you come to me? Maman Goz's answer was simple and devastating. Because we thought you knew, sir. And chose not to see. That night, alone in his study, Olymide stared at the engagement photo on his desk. Vanessa's perfect smile. His proud expression. All of it built on sand. His phone buzzed. Unknown number. A video file. He opened it and saw Vanessa's face, twisted with rage, screaming at Blessing. Another video, her going through drawers, making accusations. Another, her hand raised to strike. A text followed, I recorded these just in case. You deserved to know the truth. Zainab. Olumide watched each video twice. Then he made a decision. For 3 days, Olumide couldn't sleep. He'd sit in his study until 2 a.m., staring at his laptop screen without seeing it, his mind replaying everything, Vanessa's lies, the staff's testimonies, Zainab's calm defiance. The engagement photo sat face down in his drawer now, but the wedding invitations had already been printed. 500 of them. The venue was booked. Deposits paid. How do you unravel a life you thought you were building? On the 4th morning, he found himself wandering to the kitchen at 6:30 a.m. earlier than usual. Mehman Gozi was already there, kneading dough, but it was Zainab who caught his attention. She stood by the window, sleeves rolled up, washing vegetables with focused efficiency while humming something under her breath. Good morning, sir, Mehman Gozi said quickly, wiping flour from her hands. Morning. He nodded, but his eyes stayed on Zainab, who had turned and straightened immediately, her humming cut short. Good morning, sir, she said, her voice professional, her eyes carefully neutral. Morning. He cleared his throat. Zainab, do you have a moment? I'd like to speak with you. Her expression flickered wariness, perhaps, but she nodded. Of course, sir. They walked to the courtyard outside the kitchen, where morning light filtered through the palm trees. The air was still cool, peaceful. Olumide realized he hadn't felt peace in days. I wanted to thank you again, he started. For what you did. For standing up when. You already thanked me, sir. You don't need to keep. I know. But I also wanted to ask you something. He paused, suddenly feeling awkward, which was strange. He negotiated with senators and CEOs without breaking a sweat, but this young woman made him feel like he'd forgotten how to have a normal conversation. Where did you learn to be so fearless? Zainab blinked, caught off guard. Fearless? Sir, I was terrified. You didn't look it. That's because I was too angry to show it. A small smile played at her lips. My mother always says I have my father's stubbornness. He once argued with a local chief for 2 hours about a land dispute. Everyone thought he was crazy, but he won. Did he teach you that? To stand up for what's right? He tried to. Mostly he taught me how to fix radios and argue about football. Her smile grew. He was a Manchester United fan. Very serious about it. Like, wear the jersey to weddings serious. Olumide laughed, actually laughed, for the first time in days. And you? Arsenal. Just to annoy him. Her eyes sparkled with the memory. We'd watch matches together and he'd threaten to disown me every time Arsenal won. Then he'd make me tea and we'd argue about penalty decisions until my mother told us to shut up. Your mother sounds wise. She is. Too wise. She always knows when I'm lying, which made my teenage years very difficult. Zainab's expression softened. She's sick now. That's why I needed this job so badly. Medical bills, you know. I'm sorry. Don't be. She's strong. Stubborn, like my father. She'll fight. Zainab looked at him directly. Sir, was there something specific you needed? I should get back to. Actually, I was just. Olumide trailed off, realizing he didn't have a specific reason. He just wanted to talk to someone who felt real. Do you like working here? I mean, after everything that happened? That's a loaded question, sir. Call me Olumide. At least when we're talking like this. She raised an eyebrow. Sir, you're my employer. I can't just call you. Why not? It's just a name. Because there are rules, sir. Boundaries. You're the boss, I'm the staff. We don't have casual conversations about football and she stopped herself, looking flustered. This is exactly what I mean. What's wrong with casual conversations? Nothing's wrong with them when they're between equals. But we're not equals, sir. You own this house. I clean it. You don't clean it. You're the estate manager now. Which is still not the same as being a billionaire who negotiates with presidents. She crossed her arms. Sir, what's this really about? He was quiet for a moment, surprised by her directness. Honestly, I don't know. I've been thinking about everything that happened, and I realized I don't really talk to people anymore. Not real conversations. Just business. Deals. Surface-level pleasantries. And you want to have real conversations with your estate manager? Sir, respectfully, that sounds like a bad Nollywood movie setup. He burst out laughing. A bad Nollywood movie setup? You know the type. Rich man, simple girl, completely unrealistic plot where somehow they end up. She stopped abruptly, her eyes widening as she realized what she was implying. I didn't mean, that's not what I'm saying. I know what you meant. He was still grinning. And you're right, it does sound like a Nollywood plot. Probably starring Ramsey Nouah. And Genevieve Naji. She'd play me, obviously. Obviously. She has the same I'm not afraid to blockerslap energy. Zainab laughed, a real laugh, not the polite kind, and for a moment, the awkwardness dissolved. They were just two people talking in a garden, the morning sun warm on their faces. Okay, fine, she said, still smiling. If we're doing this bizarre casual conversation thing, I have a question for you. Shoot. Why do rich people always have fountains? Like, what's the appeal? It's just water going in circles. Olumide looked over at his elaborate fountain display and suddenly saw it through her eyes, absurd, excessive, pointless. I honestly don't know. I think the architect said it was elegant. It's water going in circles, sir. Olumide. It's water going in circles, Olumide. She tested his name carefully, like it might break. There. Happy. Very. From the kitchen window, Maman Gozi and Blessing watched the exchange, their hands paused mid-work. Are they laughing? Blessing whispered. Amham. Maman Gozi's smile was knowing. But Ogre never laughs. I've been here 6 months and I've seen him smile maybe twice. That girl is something different. Maman Gozi wiped her hands on her apron. Something very different. Mrs. Aduke appeared behind them, following their gaze. She watched Olumide gesturing animatedly while Zainab threw her head back laughing at something he'd said. Oh no, Mrs. Aduke murmured. Oh yes, Maman Gozi corrected, grinning. But what about Miss Vanessa? The wedding is in. Miss Vanessa is gone. You can feel it. That chapter is closing. And a new one is opening. Blessing's eyes were wide with romantic speculation. Let's not get ahead of ourselves, Mrs. Aduke warned, but even she was smiling. Though I'll admit, I haven't seen Ogre this relaxed in months. Back in the courtyard, Zainab was explaining her theory about why plantain was superior to potatoes. It's more versatile, she insisted. You can fry it, boil it, roast it, pound it. You can do all those things with potatoes. But does it taste better? No. Plantain wins. This is not up for debate. Everything is up for debate. Fine. Name one Nigerian dish improved by potatoes. Olumide opened his mouth, closed it, then conceded. Okay, you win that one. I win most of them, you'll find. She glanced at her watch and her smile faded. Sir Olumide, I really should get back to work. Mrs. Aduke will think I'm slacking. Tell her I kept you. Boss's orders. You're abusing your power. Absolutely. But he stepped back, recognizing the moment was ending. Thank you, Zainab. For this. For normalcy. Anytime you want to debate plantain superiority, I'm available. She turned to go, then paused. Olumide. Yes. Whatever you're dealing with, the thing that's keeping you up at night, you'll figure it out. You seem like someone who makes good decisions. Eventually. Eventually? Well, you almost married someone who abuses staff, so your judgment clearly has some gaps. She said it lightly, but there was truth beneath the humor. He laughed despite himself. Fair point. She walked back to the kitchen, leaving him standing in the courtyard, feeling lighter than he had in days. And then the guilt crashed in. What was he doing, laughing and joking when his engagement was in shambles? When Vanessa was probably plotting her next move? When there were decisions to be made, consequences to face? But beneath the guilt was something else. Something he hadn't felt in years, maybe ever with Vanessa. Ease. The simple pleasure of talking to someone who challenged him, made him laugh, treated him like a person instead of a position. He walked back to his study, but his mind wasn't on business. It was on the way Zainab's eyes crinkled when she laughed. The way she argued about plantains with genuine passion. The way she'd called him out for his bad judgment without apology. His phone buzzed. Vanessa's name flashed on the screen. Asterisk, we need to talk. About the wedding. About us. I'm coming over tomorrow. Don't shut me out, Olumide. Please. Asterisk. He stared at the message for a long moment. The wedding was 6 weeks away. Invitations sent. Deposits paid. Families expecting a society event. But in the courtyard just now, he'd felt more connected to a woman he'd known for a week than he had to his fiancée in 8 months. And that terrified him more than any business deal ever had. He typed back, asterisk tomorrow at 2 p.m. Bring your mother. We need to have an honest conversation. Asterisk. Then he put his phone down and sat in the silence, wondering how his life had become a bad Nollywood movie. And why part of him, a growing part, didn't mind at all. In the kitchen, Blessing was practically bouncing. Did you see them? Did you see the way he looked at her? Child, calm down, Mrs. Aduke said, but she was smiling too. I'm just saying, if they end up together, I'm taking full credit. I'm the one who almost got slapped, which started this whole thing. Mama Ngozi laughed. You want credit for almost getting hit? For being the catalyst of love. That's how all good stories start, with conflict. Zainab walked in, her face still flushed from laughing. What are you all gossiping about? Nothing, they said in unison, too quickly. She narrowed her eyes suspiciously. Aha. Sure. But as she went back to washing vegetables, she caught herself smiling. And she couldn't quite figure out why. Vanessa arrived at exactly 2 p.m., but she didn't come with her mother. She came alone, wearing a cream-colored dress that highlighted her figure, her makeup subtle but perfect, her hair styled in soft waves. She looked like an apology wrapped in Chanel. Olumide met her in the living room, keeping the door open, a detail she noticed but didn't comment on. Thank you for seeing me, she said softly, sitting on the edge of the sofa like she was afraid to take up too much space. I know I don't deserve it. You're right. You don't. His voice was neutral, giving nothing away. Olumide, I've spent the last week thinking about everything. About what I did, how I behaved. She looked up at him with glistening eyes. I was wrong. Completely wrong. The stress of the wedding, the pressure to be perfect, it made me into someone I'm not. Someone you're not. Or someone you've always been. She flinched. That's not fair. Fair? You want to talk about fair? He remained standing, arms crossed. Was it fair to Blessing? To the 4 staff members who quit? To Amina Sadiq? Her face went pale at the last name. That was an accident. Don't. He held up a hand. Don't insult my intelligence. I know everything, Vanessa. Hajia Ruby told me. Ibrahim Sadiq told me. Your own mother told me. Vanessa stood abruptly, her carefully constructed composure cracking. So that's it. You're just going to throw away everything we built together because of some stories from people who want to destroy me? Everything we built. He laughed bitterly. What exactly did we build? A relationship based on lies. A home where staff lived in fear. An image for Instagram. We built a future. A partnership. We're supposed to get married in 6 weeks. Her voice rose, desperation bleeding through. The invitations are out, Olumide. 500 people are expecting to celebrate us. The caterer is booked, the venue is decorated, my dress is being altered. Then I'll pay the cancellation fees. The words landed like a death sentence. Vanessa stared at him, her mouth slightly open, unable to process what she'd just heard. You're cancelling the wedding? Yes. You can't be serious. I am completely serious. But what about our paparazzi? What about everyone on social media? We have nearly 1 million followers combined watching our journey. She grabbed her phone, scrolling frantically. Look at this. Couple goals. Relationship inspiration. Can't wait for the wedding. These people admire us. Those people don't know us. They know a filtered version we posted online. Exactly. And that's what matters. The image, the brand we've created. Listen to yourself, Olumide said quietly. Your first concern isn't our relationship. It's not love or partnership or building a life together. It's about what people on social media will think. It's about followers and likes and maintaining an image. That's not. When was the last time you asked me how I was really doing? When did you last have a conversation with me that wasn't about wedding details or social media content? He stepped closer. You don't love me, Vanessa. You love what I represent. The lifestyle. The status. The Instagram posts. Tears spilled down her cheeks, but he couldn't tell if they were real or manufactured. How can you say that? I've given you everything. You've given me a performance. A carefully curated version of yourself that you thought I wanted to see. His voice softened slightly, not with affection but with something like pity. And maybe I'm partly to blame for accepting it. For not looking deeper. For being so focused on building my empire that I didn't notice what kind of person I was inviting into my life. So what? You're just going to humiliate me? Let everyone laugh at me. Her voice turned sharp, the victim act dropping. You know what people will say? That I wasn't good enough. That you rejected me. Do you know what that will do to my reputation? And there it is. He shook his head. Not I love you, don't leave me. Not we can work through this. Just what about my reputation? Because it matters. In our world, reputation is everything. No, Vanessa. Character is everything. How you treat people when no one is watching. How you behave when you have power over someone weaker than you. That's what matters. And I suppose you think you're some saint now? You, who ignored what was happening in your own house for months. You're right. I failed too. I was blind, comfortable, negligent. He met her eyes directly. But I'm not blind anymore. And I'm not going to spend the rest of my life with someone who treats people with cruelty and then cries victim when caught. Vanessa's face transformed, the mask finally, completely shattered. What emerged was pure rage. Fine. Fine. You want to cancel? Cancel. But don't think this is over. I'll tell everyone the truth, that you're an controlling, manipulative man who believed lies from staff. Tell them whatever you want. I have video evidence of your behavior. Testimonies from multiple people. Even your own mother's confession. His voice was steel. You want to go to war? I have an army of truth. What do you have? She opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. Nothing came out. What I need, Olumide continued, his voice calmer now, is a good woman by my side. Someone with integrity. Someone who treats people with respect regardless of their position. Someone who... The door opened. Zainab entered carrying a folder, clearly not expecting the scene before her. She stopped abruptly. I'm sorry, sir, I didn't know you were. I'll come back. No, stay. Olumide's entire demeanor shifted when he looked at her, his shoulders relaxed, his voice warmed. Actually, your timing is perfect. Zainab glanced between them, clearly uncomfortable. Sir, I really think I should. Zainab, this is Vanessa. Vanessa, this is Zainab Musa. My estate manager. He paused, then added with quiet certainty, and the kind of woman I should have been looking for all along. The room went silent. Vanessa stared at Zainab like she was seeing a ghost. Then she laughed, sharp, bitter, incredulous. You cannot be serious. You're choosing her over me. I'm choosing character over image. Substance over performance. She's a maid. Vanessa's voice rose to a near shriek. A poor girl from some village who cleans toilets for a living. I'm the estate manager, Zainab corrected quietly, her voice steady despite the tension. And I'm from Kaduna City, not a village. Though there's nothing wrong with being from a village. You're actually defending her to me? Vanessa turned to Olumide, her voice breaking now with genuine emotion, not sadness, but fury and humiliation. I am educated. Sophisticated. Connected. I came from a good family, I can move in your circles, I understand your world. And she, Olumide interrupted, gesturing to Zainab, has more courage in her pinky finger than you have in your entire body. She stood up for someone being abused. She risked her job to do what was right. She treats people with dignity. Those are the qualities I want in my life. Okay, wait. Zainab held up both hands, her eyes wide. Sir Olumide, I don't know what's happening here, but I need to clarify something. I am not, we are not, this is not. I know, Olumide said gently. I'm not declaring anything inappropriate. I'm just saying that you represent the kind of person I should be building a life with. Someone real. Not necessarily you specifically, but he stopped, realizing he was making it worse. I'm not trying to make this awkward. Too late, Zainab muttered. Vanessa looked between them, and something in her expression curdled. You know what? You two deserve each other. The self-righteous billionaire and his noble little maid. It's pathetic. Better pathetic than cruel, Olumide replied. Vanessa grabbed her purse, her hands shaking with rage. You'll regret this. Both of you. When I'm done telling my side of the story, everyone will know what kind of man you really are. Tell them, Olumide said calmly. And I'll tell them about Amina Sadiq. About the pattern of abuse. About your mother's confession. Let's see whose story people believe. For a moment, Vanessa looked like she might throw something. Then she turned on her heel and stormed toward the door. She paused at the threshold, looked back one last time. I hope she's worth it, she spat. She is, Olumide replied, though Zainab's face suggested she had strong opinions about being discussed like she wasn't in the room. The door slammed. The house seemed to exhale. Zainab stood frozen for a moment, then turned to Olumide. What just happened? I ended my engagement. I got that part. What I don't understand is the part where you dragged me into it like some kind of, she waved her hands, searching for words. Like some example in a PowerPoint presentation. I didn't mean to. The kind of woman I should be looking for? Sir, that is not something you say in front of a person. You say that in your private thoughts, maybe to your diary. I don't have a diary. But you don't announce it like you're giving a TED talk on relationship choices. She was pacing now, clearly flustered. And now she thinks that there's something, which there isn't. I know there isn't. Good. Although, Olumide hesitated, then decided honesty was the only way forward. I'd be lying if I said I hadn't thought about it. Zainab stopped pacing. Thought about what? About the fact that in 1 week, you've made me laugh more than Vanessa did in 8 months. About how you challenge me without being cruel. About how you're the first person in years who treats me like a regular person instead of a walking bank account. Sir. And about how terrifying it is that I feel more comfortable talking to you than I did with the woman I was supposed to marry. He ran a hand through his hair. So yes, I've thought about it. But I'm not asking you for anything. You just ended my engagement, you're dealing with your own mother's illness, and the absolute last thing you need is your employer making inappropriate declarations. Zainab was quiet for a long moment. You're right. That would be incredibly inappropriate. I know. And I work for you, which makes any kind of personal relationship completely unprofessional. Absolutely. And I barely know you. True. Plus, you literally just ended an engagement 5 minutes ago. 5 minutes. Fair point. She crossed her arms, looking at him with those intelligent eyes that always seemed to see more than he intended to show. So we're on the same page. This is just employer and employee. Professional boundaries. Nothing weird. Nothing weird, he agreed. Good. Good. They stood there in awkward silence. Although, Zainab said slowly, if we're being completely honest. Yes. That conversation we had about plantains. That was the most fun I've had in months. A smile tugged at his lips. Yeah. And you're not as stuffy as I thought rich people were supposed to be. You thought I was stuffy? You wear suits at home. That's very stuffy. He laughed. Noted. I'll work on that. Maybe start with learning that Arsenal is clearly the superior team. I will do no such thing. They were grinning at each other now, the awkwardness dissolving into something easier, lighter. From the kitchen doorway, Maman Ngozi, Mrs. Aduke, Blessing, and Chidi watched with barely contained excitement. He broke off the engagement. Blessing whispered. For her. Not for her, Mrs. Aduke corrected. Because of her. There's a difference. Still counts. Maman Ngozi was practically glowing. I give it 3 months before something happens. 1 month, Chidi bet. You're all being ridiculous, Mrs. Aduke said, but she was smiling. Although, he does look at her differently than he ever looked at Miss Vanessa. Like she's a person, Maman Ngozi observed. Not a trophy. 3 months later. The Karim estate had transformed in ways that had nothing to do with decoration. It started with small changes. Maman Ngozi no longer cooked with trembling hands. Blessing sang while she worked, her voice carrying through the halls without fear of reprimand. Chidi actually laughed loud, teenage laughter, when he made a joke. The staff quarters got an upgrade, new furniture, fresh paint, a common area with a TV and comfortable chairs. Zainab insisted on it, and Olumide approved it without hesitation. They're not just employees, she'd told him. They're people who make this house function. They deserve comfort and dignity. There were new rules too. No one worked more than 8 hours without overtime pay. Everyone got 1 full day off per week. The kitchen had an open-door policy, staff could cook their own meals, not just serve others. On a bright Saturday morning, the household gathered in the kitchen for breakfast, something that would have been unthinkable under Vanessa's regime. Olumide sat at the large kitchen table in jeans and a t-shirt, no suit, as per Zainab's ongoing campaign against stuffiness, while Maman Ngozi served pancakes she'd actually enjoyed making. These are incredible, Olumide said around a mouthful. It's easier to cook when you're not terrified, Maman Ngozi replied with a wink. Blessing was scrolling through her phone. Oh my God, did you see this? She turned the screen around. Vanessa posted a statement. She says she's taking time away from social media to focus on healing and growth. Translation: the backlash got too intense, Zainab said, pouring coffee. After Ibrahim Sadiq's case went public and Mrs. Adeyemi's testimony came out, the internet had turned on Vanessa spectacularly. The same followers who'd called her couple goals were now calling her significantly less flattering things. I almost feel bad for her, Blessing said. Almost. Don't, Mrs. Aduke said firmly. She's facing consequences. That's not the same as being victimized. Olumide's phone rang, a number he recognized. He answered. Ibrahim. Good morning. Morning, Olumide. Just wanted to update you. The prosecutor says we have enough for charges. Witness intimidation, fraud, potentially negligent homicide for Amina's case. Her lawyers will fight it. Let them. We have your testimony, the video evidence, 12 former employees willing to testify to a pattern of abuse. And Mrs. Adeyemi's statement is damning. Ibrahim's voice carried satisfaction and pain in equal measure. My sister might finally get justice. She deserves it. So do you. After he hung up, Zainab touched his arm lightly. You okay? Yeah. Just thinking about what could have happened if you hadn't stopped her that day. Someone else would have eventually. I'm not sure that's true. He covered her hand with his. You were the catalyst for everything changing. Their eyes met, held. The kitchen went conspicuously silent. Are you two going to keep doing this dancing around each other thing, or are you going to actually do something about it? Blessing asked. Blessing. Mrs. Aduke gasped. What? Everyone's thinking it. They have entire conversations with their eyes. It's exhausting to watch. Olumide laughed. She's not wrong. She's completely wrong, Zainab protested, but her cheeks were flushed. We have professional boundaries. Professional boundaries are important, Olumide agreed. Which is why I've been drafting a job offer for you. A different position. Zainab's brow furrowed. What position? Head of Community Relations for Kareem Holdings. You'd work with our charitable foundation, ensuring our corporate social responsibility programs actually serve communities instead of just looking good in press releases. He pulled out a folder, an actual job offer, professionally prepared. It's a real position. Real salary. Real office at headquarters. Not here. She took the folder, scanning it, her eyes widening at the salary figure. This is real. Completely real. You'd have your own team. Your own projects. And you wouldn't work for me directly anymore, you'd report to the foundation board. So no more professional boundaries issue? Correct. And you're offering me this because you're brilliant. Because you see things clearly. Because you care about people. He paused. And because I'd very much like to take you to dinner sometime without it being wildly inappropriate. The kitchen erupted in cheers. Zainab looked around at the grinning faces, Maman Gozi clapping, Blessing bouncing in her seat, Mrs. Aduke dabbing her eyes, Chidi giving a thumbs up. This is ridiculous, she said, but she was smiling. 3 months ago I was washing vegetables and dodging slaps. And now you're changing someone's entire life, Maman Gozi said softly. You changed all of ours. Zainab looked back at Olumide, at this man who transformed from the distant boss she'd feared to challenge into someone who made her laugh, who valued her input, who saw her as an equal. One dinner, she said. And if you order for me without asking what I want, I'm walking out. I wouldn't dream of it. And no fancy restaurants where I need a diagram to understand the silverware. How about Suya and Maltina on a street corner? Her face lit up. Now you're talking. 6 months later, the Kareem household held a party, not a society event, but a genuine celebration. Mrs. Aduke was retiring after 30 years in domestic service, and Olumide wanted to honor her properly. The staff from other households came, people who'd worked with her over the decades. They filled the main house with laughter and stories, treated not as help but as guests. Zainab moved through the crowd in a simple but elegant dress, making sure everyone felt welcome. She'd officially started her new position a month earlier and was already making waves. Her first project was a domestic worker advocacy program, ensuring fair wages and treatment across the industry. Olumide watched her from across the room, this woman who'd walked into his life and turned everything upside down in the best possible way. They'd been officially dating for 2 months now, taking it slow, building something real. She caught him staring and rolled her eyes, but she was smiling. She excused herself from her conversation and crossed to him. You're supposed to be mingling, not brooding in corners like a Nollywood villain. I'm not brooding. I'm appreciating. Appreciating what? This. All of it. He gestured at the party, the people, the joy filling his home. A year ago, this house was beautiful but empty. Now it's full, she finished. Now it's full. Because of you. Because you finally opened your eyes and decided to be a decent human being. She poked his chest playfully. I just gave you a push. A push. You tackled me into reality. Someone had to. He took her hand, threading their fingers together. Thank you. For that day. For every day since. You've thanked me 1,000 times. I'll thank you 1,000 more. She squeezed his hand, then pulled him toward the center of the room. Come on. Mrs. Aduke's about to give her speech, and if you miss it, she'll never forgive you. As they joined the gathered crowd, Olumide looked around at the faces, Maman Gozi, Blessing, Chidi, Joseph the driver, Samuel the gardener, dozens of people who made his life function. People he'd once barely noticed. Mrs. Aduke stood at the center, her eyes misty as she began to speak. I've worked in many houses over my lifetime. Grand houses, powerful houses, wealthy houses. But this, her voice caught, this is the first house that ever felt like a home. Can you be like Zainab? Let us know in the comment section. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more stories like this.